Welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton. And today you are going to meet two amazing women who have done tremendous level of fundraising so far in just 4 years for our community. My guests are Teresa Michener and Jennifer Brown. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
So you guys, just about 4 years ago, formed a nonprofit, but it's not really the beginning of your work. Tell us a little bit more about how you got started and what you saw as the need.
Well, actually, we formed in 2009.
Oh, okay.
It took us about 4 years to get our 501c3 because what we're doing is so out of the box. And we were told by the IRS, nobody's ever done before what we've done. But the concept behind community nights is essentially having the community come together and support together to build the community, because we're trying to bring everyone together to work collaboratively.
That isn't what, not that really organizations are competitive, but because there's limited dollars, you work for your piece of the pie. And you guys are working for the whole pie.
Well, that's exactly right. Basically, what we've done is we've asked nonprofits to say, here's this very small group of resources, and we want you guys to compete for it. And while that sounds like a really good idea, we're asking for the marketplace to determine. But what that causes is a lot of redundancies, and that gets our nonprofits to not really collaborate the way we need them to. What we want nonprofits to do is to use those scarce resources the most efficient and effective way they can. And to do that, we need them collaborating. We don't want them to hide trade secrets and in certain aspects of market-based economies. It doesn't work as well in the nonprofit sector. So what we're trying to do is break that mold and get everybody to come together and use their resources as efficiently and effectively as they can. And when we come together and work together, well, we rise and fall together, and that's really what happens in a community. And we're trying to get everybody out of their little silos and break all of those walls down, and let's come back together as a one united community. So we're trying to bring the entire Virginia Peninsula together to do that.
That's a big task.
Well, I mean, we didn't put that geographical thing on segmentation out on that. That was our board looked at us and said, ladies, you can't save the world. You need to pick a geographic area. So we said, well, this is our home. We'll start with the Virginia Peninsula.
And really, fundraising is sort of where you start, or maybe it's your draw and a lot of your expertise, but you want more than that.
Well, of course we do, but we live in the real world, and you can't do anything until you have funding. And so we really wanted to be self-sustaining on that, and that was the first real big need. When you go out and you talk to folks, we started this in 2008 really as an answer to the market crash that happened. That's when funding dried up everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
It dried up.
People were hurting,
It dried up from the state. Our schools started taking huge hits, and that hasn't really stopped.
No.
I mean, the best we've gotten is level funding for our public schools.
Right.
They haven't
level funding from the down level. I mean,
correct.
Stopped going down.
Well, they either have taken budget cuts, or they've stayed right where they are. There has been no increase to restore them to pre-2008 levels, and people don't even realize that.
And it's not going to happen either. I don't think.
I don't see it.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't see it happening anytime soon. And then corporate sponsorship. Well, a lot of those businesses took huge hits, especially our local businesses, our local banks. Those are frequently the organizations that invest back in our economies. And
with mergers, sometimes you have fewer companies that have roots here. So, and those are the ones who tend to give back a lot. I mean, some of the large corporations do. Certainly Walmart has a charitable foundation. A lot of them do. But a lot of times when you're looking for help on a local level, it's the local business owner that can stroke that check.
A lot of the support dried up. Not to say that it's all gone, but a lot of it's gone, and those are the dollars our nonprofits rely on. So this was the first immediate emergent need. So we went to the area where we have expertise, and Teresa and I are both very good at running large-scale fundraisers, and the one we know the best, and the one that gives you the consistent revenue is bingo. So that's where we started. And like I said, our first grant pool, we had 5 organizations participating, 4 filled out grant applications, and we gave out $4,000 in grants on that first quarterly grant pool. Our last grant pool was $92,000, and we had 46 grant applications come in. We have 106 organizations participating. The one prior to that, we had, I think, 45 grant applications,
Right.
43 were awarded, and it was $100,000 that went out.
And you've raised so far like $750,000.
Right.
Like once you get into those kind of numbers, people go, "What are you doing? How
Right.
are you?" They want to learn your secrets, and you're not shy.
No, not at all.
I mean, it's a lot of hard work is what it is, but it's bringing in people. And what we're attracting, and I always say this, there's always that 3 to 5 people who kind of are the core of every organization.
Yes.
And those are the folks who are coming out and helping us. And the synergy you get when you bring those people with that kind of passion and that kind of energy, when you get that many folks with that kind of passion and energy in a room, what you can accomplish is amazing. And it's also fun because it's so exciting to not be alone. Because a lot of times when you're those 3 people and then you have a lot of folks who really aren't contributing, you can get frustrated. But when you bring in all of these folks together and all of a sudden we're all there, we're all doing it, we all are working really hard together, you build a synergy and an energy that is so positive and so exciting. And it's just such a blessing to be a part of. And Teresa and I can't tell you how much fun it is to do the work we're doing. We really do enjoy it.
Now, what are your backgrounds? What are your experiences? Because, I mean, I look at you guys and go, anyone, you're making so much of a difference. And just jumping out there, but also you've kind of been doing this on a smaller scale for a while.
Right. We started working together when our kids did gymnastics, and we were a part of the Booster Association, and we started with bingo there and also doing other small fundraisers that started losing money before we took over, and by the end we were making about $10,000 a year just doing their meets, raising funds there. But then also with the bingo, I started as a bingo manager and increased sales quite a bit.
She's being modest on that one.
I bet. And what's your background?
I'm an accountant. So
that's helpful when,
yes.
when you're working on
Exactly.
fundraising and knowing your numbers and all that.
Right.
Prizes, you do have to make sure you're coming out well to the good,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And Jennifer, yours is?
Well, I'm in marketing and management and sales, and I'm 3rd generation in a family business that's located here in Hampton.
What is that?
We're business form specialty, so we do print and promotional items. And so I've worked in the family business, but I've also had the blessing of being able to work with a flexible schedule because my youngest daughter has autism. So I've also been very engaged within the public school system. I was the vice chair of the Special Education Advisory Committee for more years than I can even remember. And when you're raising a child who has a significant disability, that means being very engaged in the schools. So always volunteering and making sure that you're doing your part there. And in my spare time, I would be a special education advocate for other families to teach them the system and help them navigate it.
That's important. So you're not, and the other interesting thing is you're not just out there on your own. You are partnering with other organizations now
Absolutely.
to try to figure out not just how to best allocate the money you raise, but what are the needs?
In our charter documents, we didn't just want to do this fundraising engine. The next step, which we haven't gotten to yet, but is definitely we're working on, is to start a nonprofit incubator. Because I have this very unique experience, and Teresa was there and actually she was in the delivery room when both of my kids were born.
You guys are good friends.
We're really good friends.
We're neighbors, best friends.
But when Brittany was born, and being, to be a member of the disability community and to navigate that system, to actually have to access nonprofits, so to be a consumer of those services, and to also then sit on boards, so just be on the other part of that, because I believe in giving back. To whom much is given, much is expected. To see all these things from different vantage points. And then at my work, I'm a healthcare documentation specialist, so I also see that community from that point of view as well. You can see all of these different service gaps that we have. In Virginia, we're in the bottom 5 in the nation for disability services. So there's a lot of different gaps that we have, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But it's not just in this community. So what we want to do, ultimately, is work with the Peninsula Community Foundation and with Network Peninsula.
Wonderful group.
Network Peninsula does a lot of training for nonprofits. It's a wonderful organization. And Peninsula Community Foundation is wonderful at gathering all the data we need. They track all of the nonprofits in the area. And then look at that on the high view and find these service gaps use the fundraising engine and those supports, but once we get into our own facility, we can actually set up office space with shared resources and whatnot, and we can really help nurture nonprofits that need to be in place to fill these service gaps that they just really haven't been able to fill through that market-based system of who can raise the money, because people who are giving money, they don't always know where the needs are. And we want to do that high-level analysis to really identify those needs so we can meet the needs of the community better.
What is your, okay, imagine for me what this group, Community Nights, looks like in 10 years. What do you foresee?
Well, we'll definitely be in our own facility at that point. And we'll be this amazing place where you can come and grow. I'm hoping that we'll have a very large meeting area where we can have consortiums coming together. Our area is very blessed. We already have one of those for the homeless community, and where all of these organizations are coming together and meeting, and they're talking about how they can share resources, how they can come together and apply for federal grants where you can bring in millions and millions of dollars into the community, fill these holes, where we can gather and collect incredible levels of data, working together, identifying needs better. I'd like to see that happening for the disability community. I'd like to see that happening for all our other marginalized communities and doing great work. But we'll have the place that you can come and do that. We'll also be able to support our schools a whole lot better, where we can come in, we can get our schools working together, and we'll get the community reinvested in our schools. Right now, sometimes you have a hard time getting people to show up.
There are, schools where you have to have a grant to hire someone to run the PTA, basically, to get the parents involved, because parents are either, have economic problems, are working multiple jobs, are, really struggling in a lot of single parent families. And then I used to raise money too. And then you go to some schools and they can't fit the PTA in the room. There's like, oh my gosh. So
what we want to do is, every school is its own isolated culture. So what we want to try to do, and this is one of our grant requirements, is you have to collaborate. You have to stretch yourself. And it's every quarter. So if you're coming to us for quarterly support for your program, you can't just say the same thing. We're looking for growth every single time. So in 10 years, what I hope we see as a school district isn't these individual cultures and these individual buildings, but now we have schools that are in the more affluent parts of town going to the less affluent part of town, and these mentoring programs are setting up, and that it's now a full division. And then after you get the division working together that way, then we have the whole area working together that way, where we don't see ourselves as rivals, where we don't say, oh, that's the bad part of town, this is the good part of town. This is our community as a whole. We love our community as a whole. We nurture our community as a whole. These are the bridges we're trying to build. You have to take it incrementally. You have to meet people where they are. But it's really hard to hate your neighbor when you know your neighbor. And that's
a great statement.
And that's what we're trying to accomplish. We want everybody to come out and actually meet one another. I love the internet and I love technology. It's really hard to separate me from my phone. But that shouldn't be the only communication that we have with one another. It's very easy to put yourself in an echo chamber. And what we're trying to do is get people to actually come out. We tell the kids when they come and volunteer, got to turn that phone off. And they're actually having to meet and interact and build these incredible skill sets that a lot of our youth don't get. So these are the things we're hoping to do, is unite our community as one community again.
That sounds wonderful. We need to wrap up, but I really don't think this is the last time we'll be talking, because you guys really are doing amazing things and connecting different resources together, and I expect to see you back here telling me some more stories.
That would be great.
We hope so. We would thoroughly enjoy that.
But before we close, I do want to let people know how they can go to your bingo games, how they can get in touch with you if they want to apply for a grant, if they want to volunteer, whatever it might be.
Sure. All you need to do is go to our website. It's www.communitynights.org, and the Nights is with a K.
You're our shining armor for the community. That's right.
And essentially, if you want to apply for our gift program, if you are a nonprofit or a public school group, if you're affiliated with the public schools, you can do that as well. Or if you're a nonprofit organization that benefits the community in some way, fill out an application. You have to get approved for our program because the funds have to be reinvested into the peninsula. So you have to show that you directly benefit our citizens. Fill that out and then you can get enrolled in our program. If you'd like to volunteer, go to that same website. There's a place where you can fill out a form to volunteer and be part of our program. We'd love to have you. The more people who come in, the better. And please come and engage with us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. I hope you are inspired by these two women as much as I am and the work they're doing in our community, and we will watch them grow and help them grow. Thanks for watching.